So, first question is, how did you choose to make films? Your parents were very close to journalism. Yes, my parents have been journalists, and my father was quite political, and he was believing communist. He believed in Stalin. He spent the war in Soviet Union in the army. And when he came back to Poland, he wanted to build up the communism. And after a few years, he became very disappointed. And finally, he paid with the price of life for that involvement. And my mother was chief editor in the weekly for youth from the countryside. And she was very engaged in the social life and with it means in the development of the civilization in the country, in the part of the country which was very underdeveloped. And it became very popular and very important paper for young people who were living out of the big cities. So I was following her, involvement in helping people and being engaged for the justice and so. But I knew that I don't want to be a journalist at all, especially I understood quite quickly that the regime, communist regime, it is not the justice and it is not the equality and it is not the freedom. And I was an artistic child. I read a lot, I wrote short stories and I painted. And I decided that altogether what I like to do, including the fact that I like to tell people what they have to do to have power, it is a film directing. And it was in middle 60s, and the cinema have been really the most innovative art. It's not now so much, but at that time it was. Yeah, that is the true story of the journalist, Welsh journalist, British journalist, who was also the secretary of the Prime Minister, British Prime Minister, and who was very well educated for such a young Englishman. It means Welshman, but British man. He spoke several languages. He knew pretty well economy and foreign affairs, and he was one of the first who, maybe even the first, who had the interview with Hitler when he came to power. And he immediately recognized the danger of that. A lot of people had the illusion, that it's nothing special, that it will pass somehow or normalized. But he felt it. And after he decided to go to Soviet Union, he spoke Russian because the economy, official numbers Stalin was presenting to the world, and the reality of the production, it didn't match. And when he came there, he discovered that something is going on Ukraine. It was forbidden to go there, but he escaped and smuggled himself into the country, and he's seen the terrible famine which killed millions of people. And it was organized. It was organized by Stalin himself for the reasons which are many, but the main one it was to submit Ukraine to the control of to break Ukraine somehow, to break the peasants also, who've been the most independent part of the Soviet Union, and he succeeded. It means the Ukraine had been broken for decades. When the journalist, when Gareth Jones, the journalist, when he's seen what's going on, he wanted it to be published, but he was discouraged by another journalist, especially correspondent of New York Times of the time in Moscow, and he understood that the most of the foreign correspondents in Moscow, they are totally corrupted. They are politically corrupted, they are financially corrupted, they are blackmailed, and he totally lost the faith that they care about the objective journalism and investigative journalism, and the need to present the facts to the world about one of the worst crimes against humanity which has been going on. he escaped from Soviet Union. He succeeded to go back first to Germany, after to England, and he tried to publish his revelation, and also to convince the politicians to do something about it. And he understood that the politicians are not interested in the truth, that they are corrupted as well somehow, that they are cowardish, that they are afraid to take the stance, because because what we are seeing today with with Mr. Trump, with Ukraine, with Putin, with all this stuff. And I wanted to show that finally he published it. It was published by the man who wasn't very respected, very rich, Hearst, the mogul, the press mogul, and pretty cynical man. But it was a scoop. It was a story no one published before. So anyway, after a few years later, when working as a journalist, as a reporter in China, he was killed. Probably by KGB men. It was the revenge of Stalin for the fact that he brought to the knowledge of the world that crime that Stalin was doing. So I found the story very relevant, because I thought that in the moment when the media are corrupted and the politicians are cowardish and the public opinion is indifferent, anything can happen and the democracy cannot survive.
It's very good, Mr. Jones.
Well, I was doing also the films which have been lighter a bit, So it is not that I'm only doing that terrible story, but it's true that that is the core of my heritage, of my cinematic heritage, and I'm the child of 20th century. I am from Europe, and I am the child of the Holocaust survivor and the underground fighter. My mother, who is not Jewish, she was fighting in the home army, in the underground, in the resistance in Poland, and the Second World War and also the Stalinian crimes. It was in my system, and I knew that it ended. Okay. The world became divided after the Second World War. Europe became divided by the Iron Curtain, but I felt that the Second World War didn't end, and it was put to sleep, and it can wake up in a moment. And if we are preserving the democracy and caring about the state of law and equality and human rights, if we care about it, it's because we've been vaccinated by the experience of the Holocaust. And that vaccine is evaporating. It's not working anymore. It's not working anymore, and the fascism is coming back, and it has different forms. It's not exactly like Nazism. It's not like Italian fascism. It has different forms. But one thing which puts it together, it is the despise for minorities, for the people who are different, dehumanization of the groups of people, and when you dehumanize the people and present them as a not worthy to live, as a cockroaches or criminals, you can do whatever, and that is the beginning of the end. It's also the despise for the human dignity. It is despise for women, for example. It is many things which characterize for LGBT people, for Jews, if the Jews are in minority, and also the people start to worship the fake messiahs. The people who are coming and saying, "Oh, I understand your problems. Your problems are, I have the really great solution, make America great again," or whatever, and your problems will go away. Your problems are here because the bad people are stealing from you. They are, they are persecuting you. They are killing your church, whatever, family, all that, all the things that people are afraid of to lose. And after the people becomes followers, and they are capable to accept anything and do anything, and they don't feel empathy anymore. They don't feel the solidarity anymore. Only solidarity is the solidarity of the criminals, is the solidarity of mafia or sect.
Mafia, yes.
And George Orwell said in late 30s or beginning of 40s that the world became to be governed by monsters. And I have the impression that unfortunately we are living in that world now.
Wow.
So and I was feeling it for quite a long time, that it's coming, that it's, that slowly but surely, that the democracy is losing its substance, that the politicians are unable to defend the values, that they defend the power and the control and the comfort. And the rich societies don't want to lose the little hinge of control. And the things are going on too quickly, The revolution of social media and internet changed everything. And that's what we are living now is in a big way the consequence of that revolution. The gender revolution went so quickly that the people, especially male, became afraid. So, that is the subject. Migration is one of the biggest challenge of the modernity. And no one is really trying to understand no one, but I'm speaking of the political world, or even journalists, to touch the core of the challenge, to try to look for the honest solutions. Instead of that, it's very easy to choose the despise and the violence. And the violence is every place now. Even if it's not physical violence, in some places of the world you have the wars, and you have terrible physical violence like in Ukraine or in Gaza. But if it's not that, the violence between the people who are divided in two kinds of the camps, and the violence on the social media is just unbearable, and it leads to the domestic wars, I think. Maybe Mexico is safe by now, but in Europe, most of the countries are falling slowly, to the basket of fascism and whatever.
Sí. Five.
Totalitarianism is present in your film.
Yes.
Well, I was talking about it, It means that I answered that question. It is because the liberal democracy is in big crisis. So the solution, it is the authoritarian power. And the authoritarian power, the next step, it is to make the life easier for somebody who took the power. It's to took over all institutions and medias, and after you have totalitarian state. And several countries are on the way to the totalitarian state. Totalitarian state is already in Russia for sure. Beginning of that you can see in America. Beginning of that you can see in Hungary. Poland is in danger.
Wow, difficult.
No? No, I don't have the optimist stories for you right now.
Yes, optimist. You're now. You're the optimist.
If I'm optimist, no.
Why?
Because I see the reality. I think I see the mechanism. I see the process. I see that the people are scared and hateful, and they are choosing violence as a response to that. I think that we are too lazy and too conformist. I think that the dangers and challenges are so big, and cinema is such an important medium that we have to try. I'm not telling to make the propaganda. I'm telling about try to understand, the nature of the modernity. No, Hollywood is money. Hollywood is commerce. Yeah. If the political subject sells well, they will be doing political subjects. But if it doesn't sell well, they are not doing that. What worries me? But everything worries me, you know. The racism led to the annihilation and killing and enslaving the blacks in United States for a century. The racism killed 6 million Jews. The racism is still keeping the people the slaves in many places of the world. And in the moment when the local government, like let's say Polish government, for example, have the social or economical problem, the easiest way is to find the scapegoat, and who mostly has to be different, like dark skin or something, and to put on him all the hate and all the pretenses. But I'm not doing, I will be very happy if I don't need to touch the politics in my films. I will be really very happy. It means I'm doing it when I really feel that maybe I'm the only one in that moment, in that place, to speak about the things like Cassandra, a bit, that I feel that they are relevant and they make me angry or anxious or sad, depressed. And I'm fighting this kind of the feelings by trying to tell the story, to tell the human side of the story.
Wow.
I was did working in Hollywood, benefit you or not. Well, that was very interesting experience. It was good experience. It means it was interesting experience, was rich experience. So yes, I learned something, and I did some films which I like. So, I cannot blame it, and make some money, and met some people, became the friend with some actors. It was, I spent full time, about 10 years of my life there in Los Angeles, living, steadily in Los Angeles, and working there. And in some point I understood that I'm not developing myself anymore there. And the possibility in Europe became more open, especially in my country, in Poland. So I somehow, shifted my activity mostly to Europe, where I could be more independent and tell exactly the stories I want to tell.
It's difficult in the Hollywood. Do you independent? Is it very difficult?
It was difficult. It wasn't difficult. It depends if you want to accept their rules. If you accept their rules, it's not so difficult. If you don't want to accept their rules, after a while you have to leave. I don't. It means it's me. It's part of my life. Very important part of my life. It's my way of expressing myself. It's my way to communicate with the people. I'm telling stories by the audiovisual means. And I try to do it honestly and to make them interesting and to attract as much of sensitive people, viewers, as possible. I don't have the definition of myself. And what do you think of current European cinema production? But I think actually it's better than American right now. I think that's a lot of quiet, interesting new filmmakers, especially women. But it's also too much of mediocrity. It's too much of films which are totally unnecessary, I think. So the cinema is in some kind of the crossroad, and it's starting COVID for sure. It is in quite deep crisis. So we will see if something new and powerful will be born out of that or not. I don't know. I try to believe that if you are doing really important things, if you are doing the things which are necessary for you and for the people you are working with, it will find the audience, and it will find its way toward the audience. What do you think of the series that are currently in fashion? But series are in fashion for 30 years, not even longer. But 30 years ago, in late 90s, the revolution with HBO especially started of the new ambitious series, which been really important and innovative, and they have been speaking about subjects where the cinema abandoned. And then I decided to participate in some of those series, The Wire, the Tremé, The Killing, after House of Cards. And it became very important. The people have been talking about the series much more than they've been talking about the cinema, and following it, and being really like shaped by that. But I think that right now I'm not interested anymore. The series, most of the series, of course, you always find in the huge production, you find some interesting things, but most of that, it's pretty conventional and predictable. So the series became the victim of its own success. You have so many platforms, you have so many products and you don't have the curators, really. Because the next question is about digital streaming platforms. So, it's great that you have the platform to watch the films, and it's a lot of jewels on those platforms, but you don't know about them. Because, who is deciding what you will be watched? It is the algorithms. And you don't have the curator, somebody like festival selectioner or curator in the Museum of Art making exposition, or in the in the edition house, somebody who is picking, the books and developing the books, believing that they are giving to the reader the best. You don't have somebody like that on the streaming platform. So you have the big, deep black hole, and you don't know where you can find there. So it is alienating. I'm always, when I try to find something on some platform, and I'm not the things are popping up, the titles, but I don't know if they are for me, if they are good. I start to watch, okay, after 20 minutes I see it's not for me, but how to find something which is for me if I don't know what they have? So anyways, I may be old-fashioned, but I think it's very unhuman way to to organize the distribution. And I like working with Kasia, because Kasia, we have on the same page. She's a very talented director, and she's very visual, and she's very skilled technically as well. She knows the things I don't know. And visually, she's very strong as well. She's a painter and storyboard artist. And she's very generous. So, when we are working together, she gives me a lot, and I hope I'm giving to her still something interesting. She's doing her own things, I'm doing my own things, but when I have the possibility to collaborate with her, and she's available and she is interested by the subject, we do the film together, or she does a little part of my film, and it's very
Beautiful.
good. Yeah, it's beautiful.